Hi folks, I'm Myth with Two Guys and a Ride, and welcome to our how-to video on the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the 80th anniversary edition. Today I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started. Today we're working with our friends at Toyota of Mankato in beautiful Mankato, Minnesota. All right, so on this driver's screen, we have partial analog, partial digital. So on the far left and the far right, you're going to see like a half a gauge for the RPM and then a half a gauge for engine temperature and a fuel gauge. So those are analog. Everything else in between that is all digital. To control the information that you're seeing in the digital part, you're going to use the 4 cursor arrows and the OK button on the left side of the steering wheel. So let's dig into this. All right, you'll notice on the far left, just to the right of the RPM, you've got some icons. And if I go up and down in the arrows, you're going to see me go through different features. That's how you access the main items that you can configure. Okay, and there are quite a few of them. Now, we'll start with this one. So this gives you a traditional looking analog speedometer, although it's digital. And then if you press OK, you switch it to kilometers per hour. So that's a really nice, easy feature. You also notice there's a dot under the OK. Well, that means I have 2 screens. So if I press my right arrow, I get just a digital speedometer. So you can toggle between those two. All right. So that was under speed. So we're going to go down one. And these ones give you some gauges. So here we've got oil life. We've got oil pressure, oil temp, transmission temp, tire pressure, battery voltage, and then back to oil life again. If I go down one more, this is where terrain is. Okay, so it's going to give you this little description here, and then if I go over here, then it actually shows it graphically. Okay, so I can't move my steering wheel because my camera's connected to it, but if I did, you would see that little yellow line in the front moving. Okay, so a little bit of graphic there. All right. Let's go down one more. So here we got our driver assist systems. So if I turned on cruise control, you can see the gap setter right there changing. And those controls, of course, are on the right-hand side of the steering wheel right here. All right, I'm going to go down one more. This is going to be trip information here with fuel mileage. So you've got 2 windows here. This one shows average miles per gallon, and then your range, which in this case is low, but it'll tell you how many miles you have till empty. If I toggle over to the right, you're going to get average, your range, and then your current miles per gallon. So that's the difference between those two. All right, I'm going to go down one more. Trip information, you've got trip A, and if I go to the right, trip B. You want to reset any of them, just press and hold. And there you go. But you'll notice the trip A is not reset. So it's a little confusing when it says press OK or hold OK to reset all. It's referring to all the things that you see on the screen currently. So you can reset them separately. I'm going to go down one more. This is your auto start stop system. It says right now it's not ready. It's not going to shut the engine off to save fuel because the cabin is cooling or heating. All right. But otherwise it'll tell you that it's working. All right, let's go down one. This is your audio. Now, in audio, you know, there isn't anything else if I press left or right or, you know, and up and down just changes to the next icon. So in Jeep products, those controls are behind the steering wheel. So on the right-hand side, I've got a volume that I can choose, and it doesn't show up here, but it shows up in the infotainment screen. And then I've got a little center button. And if I press the center button, what it's going to do is take me to my different sources. Over on the far left, I've got another set of switches, and if I go up, then it takes me to the next channel. And then I've got, if I go down, it just does the reverse. And then I've got a center button, and if I push that, then it's going to go through my favorites. Right? So that's where those radio controls are, behind the steering wheel. If I go down one more, you get any messages from the vehicle. If I go down one more, here's where I can configure the screen. This is the last one because then we're back to that speed one. So let's go back here and let's press OK. And as is typical in any Jeep, you can customize this. So on the upper right-hand side, right now it says the outside temperature. But if I go to the right, I can choose any of these. So we'll start here. I can show trip A, trip B, nothing, a compass, outside temp, which is currently showing, time, range, average miles per gallon, current miles per gallon, and then I'm back to trip A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to current miles per gallon. Okay, and that's going to now show up in my right-hand side. All right, and then I'm going to go down here. I don't want defaults. Current gear. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to turn that on. Press OK. Down here, you've got the favorite menus. So if I go over to the right, my favorite menus. Okay, so some of the things on the favorite menus are just there. You can't do anything with them, like messages, screen setup, speedometer. But under vehicle info, okay, you can have terrain on or off, driver assist on or off. It's just a click of the OK button. So anything you see with the check mark, you can remove from the menu or add it back to the menu. But things like messages and screen setup are always there. All right, I am going to press the left arrow to go back. I'm going to go down to gear display. Now, if I go here, I can say full or single. Now you notice how it changed the park symbol on the left or on the right. If I go back here, now it's full. So in other words, it's just going to show you one letter instead of all of them, so it conserves a little space. All right, on the upper left corner, we have the same options we had earlier. So we've got none, trip B, trip A, current miles per gallon, which I put on the other side. So I'm going to put range up there. You notice my top left turned to range. Okay, I'm going to go, whoops, I went back too far. All right, so now I'm going to go back. I don't want to reset the defaults. So I think that's all I have here. Yep. So those are the things that I can configure. So I'm going to go backwards here. And then if I go down one more, we're just back to the speedometer where we started. All right, that's it for the driver's information screen. Next, we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. All right, so the infotainment screen is a Uconnect 4C. It is an 8.4-inch screen. This does have 6 speakers on it. It does include navigation, Sirius XM, AM and FM, Bluetooth. It also has built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. It has auxiliary and USB in. It has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and of course, HD radio. The way Uconnect is designed is you have these basic apps down here, which are customizable, and then whatever you've clicked on, then of course shows up here. It's just like your phone. So we're going to start with media. So I just went ahead and clicked on it to bring it up. And here I've got my basic sources, AM, FM, and Sirius XM. But if there's more sources available, like you have a USB auxiliary plugged in, you can go to select source, and these are grayed out because nothing's plugged in. But if it were, you could do that. Now, you have Bluetooth, so for like my phone, that would then bring you to the Bluetooth audio. All right, you click it again, and that disappears. So let's go to FM for a minute. And let's talk about how to tune. Well, it's quite easy. You can use the tune scroll button here. Okay. You can go here and it seeks to the next station and then locks in. You can tune manually, type in the number, hit go. So how do you set a favorite? Take any one of these presets at the top, okay, and just press and hold. And there it is. Now, you can overwrite any preset, and there you go. So that's how you're going to tune it. That's how you're going to save a favorite. All right, if you click on Browse, you're going to see your presets. And this is where you can arrange them. So you can say, well, I don't want that one. So now that one will say hold to set. Okay, don't want that one, hold to set. If I click on this, I don't think I can rearrange the order. So 11 is always 11. I can't move a number 11 up, but at least you can delete them. All right, I'm going to hit the back arrow here. If I go over here, I can turn HD radio on. And if you're not familiar with HD radio, basically what it does is it takes multiple signals, puts them together, and the end result is you have a little better sound, and you can tune into the radio station for longer than you could if you were just on regular non-HD FM radio or AM radio. And there's HD for both AM and FM. So you just get the signal a little longer. If I hit the map button, I can actually have my media showing and then my navigation map in the middle. Click it again and it disappears. All right, if you want to change the audio, bass, treble, that kind of stuff, click on audio, and here it all is. You got a nice little graphic. You can just click and drag. What I love is they put the C in the middle so you can recenter it. You've got an equalizer that will adjust with your finger. You've got speed adjusted volume, so the faster you get, the noisier it is in the cab and the music gets a little louder. Basically in your ear it should sound the same all the time. So you can set the sensitivity level to match your hearing. All right, auxiliary volume offset, we don't have an auxiliary plugged in. So like if you had something plugged in where you had your own volume control, this is where you could adjust how much you would want going into the system as opposed to the system's volume. And in general, if you use that feature, you want to set it about 3/4 on the outside unit and then adjust the rest with the car. All right. Now, autoplay is going to detect any USB when it's plugged in and start to play it. So right now that's turned off. That's where your audio settings are. All right, let's move on to climate. Now, you do have a plethora of climate controls below, but the one button you do not have that's physical is you do not have a sync button. That is only in the screen. So basically up here you've got your turn your AC on or off, your recirculatory mode, auto AC, you got front and rear defrosters, you got your sliders for your temperature. Okay, you can determine where the air is blowing, and then you can change the fan speed right here, just simply by sliding. You can turn it off, and then the favorite thing is you can hit sync. So that's the climate control, and really, besides the modes, the only thing you're really missing on the physical buttons is a sync. All right. Now you do have a shortcut for controls. It's the same one as down here, so I'll just tap it here. This is where you're going to turn on your heated seat and your heated steering wheel. You have the passenger has the same thing. You can go into settings from here, okay, but that's the same as this setting, so I'm going to come back to that later. They just give you some extra shortcuts right there. And we'll take a look at the backup camera. Not sure why they throw all that together with the climate, but it's there and it's just shortcuts. Okay, so you can see if I hit controls, I get the same thing. Now, apps. These are all the apps on your vehicle. What's nice is you can customize what shows up down here. Now, there are two ways. First of all, you can just take what's down here and move it around. So I can take media and say I want it where climate is. Now, I don't, but you get the idea. Okay. Oops, you got to hold it long enough. There you go. I don't think you can move the U apps. That's the only one you cannot move. The other ones you can move. All right, the other thing you can do is change what's in here from up here. So let's say you want a button that you can always click for the backup camera. Click it, drag it right down, replace the climate one. So the climate's disappeared, now I got backup camera. And you can take any one of these and put it down here. So let's just take a look while we're here at the off-road pages, because those are pretty cool. So in off-road pages, I got vehicle dynamics. Okay, you can see the angle of my wheels. And in the transfer case, if I put like 4 low on, you can see that it's locked. You have got pitch and roll, which is way cool. Accessory gauges, so that you don't have to have them in your driver's information screen. Now you can have them over here. Select a terrain. So if I go and I say I want sand, you just get a nice graphic. It also gives you your location, and then of course your altitude. And if I go to snow, I get a little different graphic. That's pretty cool. And then if I go to the next one, that is mud. And then the last one here is rock. And to do that one, I have to shift to 4 low. So now we're going to go to rock. And you get that graphic. All right, so there's your off-road pages. I think they're pretty cool. All right, that's going to be Apple CarPlay. So next thing we're going to do is hook our phone to Apple CarPlay. So here we go, as I get my... You have 2 USB ports. They are USB A's, so henceforth the big USB. It says allow CarPlay with Uconnect while phone is locked. I'm going to click allow. And there we go. Now, the nice thing is I didn't pair my phone via Bluetooth. I just plugged the cable in, clicked on that one little notification on my phone, and now I can turn my phone off, set it down, and I have Apple CarPlay. So let's talk just briefly about the different features here. If you've never used Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, they work very, very similar. They do basically the same thing, but they take any app from your phone and they put it on the screen so you don't have to touch your phone. You can send and receive messages via Siri without ever touching a button. You can make a phone call, of course. You can listen to, any type of music. I've got Amazon, I've got Pandora, I got SiriusXM. You can also have, if you don't want the vehicle's navigation, you can have almost any navigation app. Waze, I've got Google Maps, and I've got Apple Maps. But if you had a different one, pretty sure it would show up on here. Now, there is another dot here, and if I go here, you get a split screen. So this is your navigation, and if I click on it, it's going to go full screen. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to the split screen. This is search for navigation. This is your media. Now, can you have a radio station like FM or SiriusXM playing while you're looking at this navigation? Absolutely you can. The only thing you can't do is hit play here, because then it's taking it from your phone and it will turn off the SiriusXM or radio. Okay, I'm going to show you two other things. One, if I press the Uconnect button, it brings me back to Jeep's Uconnect system. Now that I've connected my phone, I actually get an Apple CarPlay, and if I click on Projection Manager, it allows me to manage the phones but not go right to Apple CarPlay. So I am going to simply click here and replace this one. Now, when I want to go to Apple CarPlay, I just click here. The other thing I want to show you is just a little fun little tip. If you press on Settings, there are different things you can adjust. I'm just going to show you wallpaper, and I can pick a different color, and there it is. So you can have a little fun with it, and you can have a little bit of a different background. Okay, let's go over to navigation. So this does have a built-in navigation here. The arrows show you the direction of traffic, where the direction the roads go. You can pinch and zoom. You can rotate. I don't know. Yep, you can. Just like other maps, you can tilt it so you can get more of a 3D look at things. All right, but let's talk about the basics of it. So how do you program a route? If you want to do it manually, go ahead. But I'm going to tell you that the way to do it is voice command. So you can go here and you can click right in here and start searching. Or you can say where to, and then you can search anything, like type in an address. You can look at recents, favorites, points of interest, different trips you've taken, intersections, point on a map. I mean, there's lots of things, okay? Now, you can even look by phone number. So if you have someone's phone number, you can try to look it up by there. You can pull it up from the contacts on your phone if they have an address attached to them. But the easiest way to do this, okay, is to just use voice command. That button is on the far left side of the steering wheel, so it's a quick push, and then I'm just going to tell it to go somewhere. Find nearest McDonald's.
There are multiple entries for McDonald's. Select a line number, say page up, page down, or say back.
4.
McDonald's, St. Peter, Minnesota. Now, do you want to start route guidance?
Yes. Okay, so the thing is about almost any voice command system in any car, you have to be specific. For instance, I couldn't say navigate to McDonald's like I can on other cars. I had to say find the closest. But the cool thing is when you start, it gives you those little prompts so you look through and say, how do I say this? Oh, find nearest POI. Well, that's a point of interest, so it could be find the nearest coffee shop, find the nearest gas station, generic things like that. But that is the easiest way to program a route. So now that we've got a route going, how do we cancel? Well, I could go to menu, and I could just click stop guidance. But I can also do it via voice command. So if I go back to the map, hit voice command, cancel route guidance.
Do you really want to cancel the ongoing route guidance?
Yes. Okay, so my point is you can do this all without taking your eyes off the road. With very few glances to your map, you're not pushing all sorts of buttons, so that voice command is really nice. Now, I'll show you another feature. So if I press and hold the voice command instead of pressing a quick release, but I press and hold, I'll get Siri on my phone. Siri, open Amazon Music. And there I go. So not only can you use a voice assistant for your car, but if you have an Android phone, it's going to be, I believe, Hey Google, Hey Siri, open up Google Maps. Okay, so that is the other cool feature. Now, I used the voice command button before, but I have my phone set to wake to Siri, and so I can just tell it without pushing any button. So just some really, really neat, I think, basic safety things to keep your eyes more on the road and let your voice do the commands. Okay, I want to point out one other thing. If I go under those 3 dashed lines, I can change the map to 3D. I can change it to full screen. If I do that, I get rid of the buttons down here, right? So a little bigger map. But I want to point out where you make basic changes. And this is, folks, this would be like one-time change. You sit in your driveway for like 20 minutes, go through this, make the one-time changes, and you won't need to touch it probably until you will never need to touch it again. So you're going to set things like, okay, how does it look? How's the map appearance? And you can just default, cartography, clean cut. So depending on your eyes, how you pick up color, focus, that kind of stuff, some of these screens may be very helpful. Display current street, yes or no. Okay. You can always go down here, but like, let's say, for instance, show POI icons. And then you can say, well, what POI categories? All right. And I could say, you know what? I like coffee shops. And so I can select particular ones if I want. I can do like the coffee beanery. So it'll specifically show those if I want. Yeah, all these. So highway exits, I want them to show that. Maybe a restaurant. So I can go here and I can pick out the type of cuisine that I want. So let's go back here. So I'm just gonna go back, and I'm gonna go back to navigation, and I'm gonna pinch in, and you can start to you can start to see these little icons showing up. These are points of interest now. So whatever I selected on points of interest now shows up automatically on my map. But that is where you make those settings. Okay, let's move on. The last category is where you can make all the basic changes on your system as far as language, types of units, that kind of stuff. So under language, you're going to have those three choices. Just check mark the one that you want. Under display, you can set the display mode to auto or manual. And what this has to do is how bright the screen is. So at night, it's a little dimmer. And during the day, it's a little brighter, just to make it easier. If you click on manual, then you can adjust it yourself. Set the theme. Okay, well, we're on Jeep 4 right now. Let's go to Jeep 1. See the colors change? So you can play around with that, see what you like. All right, touchscreen beep, turn on or off. Control screen timeout. I mean, just a bunch of things here. And again, read it, and then just check mark means it's active. And if it's not check marked, it's not active. All right, units. Okay, so I can have custom, or just US, or just metric. If I click on custom, I can set different units for distance, as opposed to fuel consumption, as opposed to pressure, and opposed to temperature. So if I'm an American driving in Canada, I don't want Celsius because it's not going to mean anything to me. However, I can leave the temperature in Fahrenheit and say, I better show speed in kilometers per hour. So I make sure I'm not pulled over. All right. So, and then like pick your whatever, your pressure gauge for your tire. What does it read? And you can select the correct one there. So that's nice that you can customize those. All right. Otherwise, you can take a look at any one of these and make the adjustments, but it's the same thing. Okay, you just read it, and then check mark means it's active. Not check mark means it's not active. Just takes a little while to go through. All right. Let's talk about safety and driving assistance. So I really like how Jeep has laid this out, because they just give you everything in one screen. You don't have to click and go somewhere else, except for automatic emergency braking. So let's go to that one. I guess the wording was too long, too many things. So forward collision warning, off, warning only, or warning and active braking. And I would definitely suggest you leave it on warning and active braking. Forward collision sensitivity. This is something you're going to have to drive and get used to. Basically, if you say near, it is not going to warn you or start to brake until like it is almost too late. Medium is going to give you a little more of a warning a little earlier, and far gives you a much further out warning. Otherwise, folks, let's just go through and read it. Lane sense warning. Do I want early, medium, or late? And just simply check mark the appropriate one. This is where you reset it. So if you click on there, you can reset the app drawer, which was here, to the default order. You can restore settings in general to default. And if you sell it, you can clear personal data. Okay, so other than that, I want to show you the backup camera. And you do have a very nice backup camera. You have dynamic swivel guidelines. I'll be honest, the clarity of the screen is not as good as I've seen on other vehicles. I don't know if it has to do with the number of pixels in the screen or what, but it's definitely seeable. You can definitely see it in its full screen, which is awesome. But, you don't get a 360, you don't get any other options. You do get the hitch guideline automatically and the dynamic swivel guidelines. So definitely very nice to have. All right, and that's it for the driver's information screen and the infotainment screen on the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Again, this is the 80th anniversary edition. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.